Rockets got another W last night. Paul, you were in attendance.
I was.
How are the vibes? I know you were curious before the game.
By the second half, the crowd was full. That's just a downtown Houston thing.
Yep.
Always late arriving. But in the second half, that's where Jalen Green took off. It was a weird game because Dylan Brooks, Fred VanVleet, and Green were awful in the first half. They were 3 for 21 at one point.
It's not good.
Guess who had the most points in the first quarter?
Was it Jock?
Jock Landale had 15 points and was perfect from the field in the first quarter.
Hey.
Didn't he end with like 17?
He ended with 17. I feel bad for him. He had a chance to hit a corner three in the last minute
he
to get
passed it
20,
up.
and he passed it up. And he seemed mad that it got passed to him.
Too classy to take that three.
He doesn't want to fight. He doesn't want Dylan Brooks to fight, and he's passing up on a chance for 20. I mean, that was probably the best quarter of his career.
The first quarter?
Perfect from the field, 15 points. It was a big game for the bench. Like, the bench actually stepped up where the starters were not playing well. Aaron Holiday had some nice moments. Also,
Jayshawn
Tate had a couple of good moments as well. And Thompson made some things happen. But once Jalen Green hit a three-pointer, and on the very next play, basically picked off a pass like he was a defensive back and just blew past everyone on the court, going like 100 miles per hour. Looked like the fastest person in basketball. This is John Wall-style speed. And he just hammers home a dunk. And when that happened, you knew the game was over.
Yeah.
So Blazers are not good. It took the Rockets a while to get going. But I thought what was interesting was the way that Jalen Green responded after having a dreadful first half, actually having a very good second half.
And that's why, to me, in a weird way, this game carries more weight, and I feel more positive about Jalen's game on a game like today than when he hits a bunch of threes against the Wizards or, is just killing some other bum team. It's like this was actually a game where stars will have from time to time where in the first half it's not a good game, and then you come out in the second half and you respond and you do enough to give your team even just like not just the actual scoring, but just kind of give them the juice, like you're saying, hitting the three, getting the transition dunk on the next play, like getting these kind of plays that you look at the stat line, you're like, not really a great night, but the way where his makes were concentrated seemed like the most important time for the Rockets to make a run. They blew out the Blazers in the third and fourth quarter.
And that's what you need from your best player. On a bad night, you can rely on Luka, you can rely on Giannis, you can rely on going back to Kobe or Tim Duncan. And not that Jalen Green's in those categories, obviously, but if he's supposed to be the best player on your team, when they're struggling, that's fine. But in the second half of a game or in clutch moments, you still have to trust that player to come through. And they did last night. And now they're a half game back of the Warriors of the play-in tournament.
They play Miami tonight at 6:30.
Yeah, and Miami is kind of had a weird season, but they're clearly they're the 7th seed right now in the East.
It's still Miami.
Exactly.
It's going to be a tough out for Golden State. Right. It's both of these teams are not what they used to be, but the name brand still holds, and you do expect them at the very least to be competent and not morons out there.
And Wednesday night is, and we'll go back to the Rockets Warriors stuff here in a second, but the Thunder game on Wednesday, I can't wait for. This is because this feels like the first test, like the real test of the way the Rockets are playing, and to now go against the Thunder, who are a very, very good basketball team this year. And seeing what the last week or two is, how that can translate to tomorrow night's game.
Udoka said that, hey, we've played some good teams over this stretch when asked that same question after the game. But at the same time, I think he knows that this is different. This one is very much different, especially with the way that Green is playing right now against a team that has some very good defensive players. Like, do you want to drive through the lane while Chet Holmgren's range is anywhere near you? Mm-hmm. And same with SGA. Like, there's some good defenders.
Got to do it against Lou Dort to show me something.
Do they still have Lou Dort?
Yeah,
I forgot they got.
He's on a pretty good contract.
Defense only, Lou Dort.
That was 2020 Lou Dort.
Oh, 2020 Lou Dort is not 20. He's evolved.
He's got a little offense now.
He's got a little offense.
He's gonna make some threes.
Remember
Leave him open.
He terrorized James Harden in that series in the bubble.
Well,
but so the Thunder are
any defensive mastermind can do that.
sure it's not that challenging. You got to try
be good at
hard.
defense and try hard, and he'll be like, "Oh, I can't flop." Oh.
So the Rockets are 1-2 against the Thunder this year before tomorrow night's game. But with the Warriors and chasing after them, there's been a couple comments that were bulletin board material, I guess you could say. I think the bulletin board material of today's world is much. It takes much less to be considered that.
Just take a look at
soft.
every single Chiefs Bengals story over the last 2 years. Like, we called our stadium Burrowhead. But Draymond Green was asked if he's even thinking about the Houston Rockets, and here's what he had to say.
How much are you now kind of tracking the Rockets?
I don't give a damn about the Rockets.
I love the answer.
It's the correct answer.
It is.
I mean,
worry about yourself.
If you want to compare it to Jalen Green after the game, Jalen Green at that media scrum, and Sean, we've got that. He was asked by Adam Spillane about. He was specifically asked. Sorry, I'm having a brain fart all of a sudden.
No, he was asked about if teams should start taking notice.
Exactly. It was basically. Hey, what's the last game? What can you take away from the OKC games that you've played before? Here he is.
I'm playing a whole different style of basketball right now. So, like I said, just focus on doing what we're doing and, putting defense first.
Jalen is 9 straight with his team. Or are you guys at the point where maybe other teams should be paying attention to what you guys doing?
Yeah, for sure. They need to start paying attention. For sure.
These tightening play-in standings, is that something you guys are talking about and aware of at this point?
For sure. I'm looking at it every day. I was watching the Warriors last night. So yeah, I mean, we're making a push. We gotta go, like I said before, and we executing. So we just gotta stay the course.
So it's gonna be locked into the Warriors tomorrow night too?
Yeah, for sure.
So the last two comments I like is, all right, he's 21 years old. I like that he's being honest, and he's saying, yeah. We want teams to take notice of
because
us.
Draymond's not telling the truth.
Yeah, he's, I think, trying to be Draymond Green.
You're also if you're the Warriors, you're 4-time champions. You won 2 years ago, so it's not even like ancient history that you've won championships. Being like, yeah, we're worried about the 11th seed, like some 11th seed with 22-year-olds as their best players. Like you have to project no, we're worried about ourselves. If we play like ourselves, it doesn't matter how many games in a row they win. Like we're the Warriors. We're gonna figure it out. But if you're the Rockets, you're like, yeah, I want to put the league on notice.
Yeah,
this is a city's under new management. You don't want to be, we'll be back to the Rockets that we used to be. And it's like, no. The Warriors want to be the old Warriors. The Rockets don't want to be the old Rockets.
Speaking of the old Rockets, I also thought interesting in those words from Jalen Green when asked about how those games against OKC relate to this game that's coming up tomorrow. And he said, we're playing a whole different style of basketball right now. And I think that is a loaded comment because that could be basically confirmation of his interactions with a couple of local Rockets media, right? I mean, he said they're not using me right. And now all of a sudden, the way that they're playing, where you can run up and down the court and there's no traffic, essentially, it has been working better for him. So I imagine when he said that, yeah, he's thinking, okay, well, obviously things are different from the last times that we played against Oklahoma City. But with the way he's playing right now, why wouldn't you be confident that this is the right way to go about it when you're putting up as many points as he did? I mean, he had 19 points in the second half after a wretched first. On pace for his 36 points a game kind of night that we've been expecting out of him the last couple of weeks.
They're 11-13, or 11. They've won 11 of 13 since they last played the Thunder on February 27th. So it'll be a month tomorrow since the last time they've played. But they're playing totally different basketball. This is a totally different basketball team. And it's not just because Alpe's out. The defensive effort, the style in which they're playing, the pace that they're playing. I know that the pace numbers look the same, but the way that they move up and down the court with effort and speed is so different than it was before.
The players are actually moving faster.
Yes.
Like they're actually just moving faster. It's the same amount of like fast breaks. It's just, I mean, you have Amin Thompson and Jalen Green running up.
Yeah, you have some freaks. Thompson's a freak. It's something else to see him in person because
he's awesome.
He's playing center, and you see him on the court, and he's not as tall as you would expect him in person. When you watch on TV, though, he seems like he's 6'9", even though he's what, 6'6"?
Yeah, 6'6", 6'7" range.
Yeah.
And then before the game, Ime Udoka was asked about Jabari Smith Jr.'s suspension. He said, quote, "If a guy grabs you, you're going to react. But the throwing punches is the thing. So he'll learn from that. If you're not going to land the punch, you might as well not throw it." Hell yeah.
I like that.
He's right. If you're going to throw a punch and get suspended, you better connect.
So he's not telling guys to punch never. He's saying if you punch, connect.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's saying don't punch if you're not going to hit him.
Yeah. Who knocked out Tim Anderson last year? Tim Anderson did not connect a single punch.
Jose Brady?
And then Jose Ramirez. And then Jose Ramirez knocked him out. Or when Rugnet Odor got punched in the face.
No,
he punched someone in the face.
Yeah,
Bautista.
That's right. He punched. Yes.
Thought it was going to be talking,
and it was not. So if you're going to throw a punch,
with those fists.
you better land him. I agree, Udoka. That's a great philosophy.
I mean, how about just if you're in the NBA and you're going to fight, how about you actually have to fight? Can we stop the hold me back? Like, how would those NBA players feel if all of a sudden the hold me back guys are just being essentially like in Gladiator, where Commodus and Maximus are in the middle, and Commodus is like, "Help me out, guys! Come on, it's not funny anymore." And then he gets stabbed in the neck by his own knife by Maximus. Like, I don't want to see that violence, but I do want to see everyone who's supposed to be holding back. I want to see them sit back and to see what actually happens.
Yeah, and don't let the refs in. Like,
no, just let them agree to mutual combat.
Yeah.
We're in Texas. You can do that here. If they bring basketball back to Seattle, you can do it there.
It's just
there are
treat it
rules.
like the NHL. Bring fighting back to basketball.
Bring it back.
Bring it back.
Bring it back. Just because Rudy T got smoked that one time. There's no reason to stop it forever.
And the mouse in the palace.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just don't involve the fans. Just punch the players.
Punching the fans is kind of funny.
Yeah. I mean, if that one punch
The
would
guy
have landed,
that looked like Turtle.
Yeah. Turtle would have died if that punch would have landed. That thing was flying in.